for Democratic Development, Ghana, the CDD. But this will not be the first time that they have petitioned a body. Now, that activity of the mining company was in contravention of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, as amended by the Minerals and Mining Amendment Act 2019, that's Act 995. The basis for the petition, so one of the bases. Another basis is that the CID should investigate the people acting as directors of the company and also let them face the law as they are breaching the law against illegal mining. And then they also want the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, and the Minerals Commission had also confirmed the action, and it is investigated. This Abujinapo is the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources.
So I think this petition was in the time of...
That's what I'm saying, that they had petitioned, but nothing much has happened, regarding the petition.
Yeah.
Videos and photos of the affected area, which show some parts of the forest area cleared, power generators, excavators, and pumping machines left at the site. They submitted evidence. They also submitted evidence relative to photos of the excavated soil and other mining operations as found at the site, contrary to Section 99 of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, and then as amended by Act 995 2019. Now, the case summarized in brief facts. Mawuena, you help us with that police operation,
right,
and all the relative issues.
So, in terms of the summarization of the fact, on April 16 to 17, during an anti-galamsey operation at Samurai Boy, the police arrested 29 persons, including Michael A.C. Jedu, recovered items including guns, gold, cash, 310 cartridges, motorcycles, vehicles, and 29 excavators. We also know that Michael A.C. Jedu named Henry Okum as his employer. Okum admitted under caution that he obtained direct permission from Wontumi in September 2004 to conduct mining activities within the concession. That's why when you see the first case which was brought against him, there were six charges.
That's right.
in 6 counts, rather.
That's right.
6 counts.
That's right.
You realize that one of such counts read he had allowed for mining, or he had permitted somebody to mine within his concession without receiving the requisite approval from the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. The third as well, investigations established that Wontumi authorized Okum to mine within Akonta mining's concession without the legally required approval from the minister, and this served as a count in the first case which was brought against him, which was in the morning. We know that there was another one, which had Akonta mining leading, and then some 5 other individuals also. Now, this is case 2. Multiple petitions were lodged with the CID against Akonta mining and Chairman Wontumi for unauthorized mining activities within the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve. Police investigations revealed that while Akonta mining lawfully obtained mining leases in Samurai Boy and Abekwase in July 2022, its application to mine in the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve was refused. And so they had no legal basis based upon this to be in the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve. Now, the company deployed over 40 excavators, erected unauthorized structures, and carried out extensive mining, causing severe environmental destruction, including the devastation of 13 hectares and pollution of the Tano River. When the Forestry Commission officials seized some equipment, Akonta mining company's armed personnel, led by its managers, forcibly retrieve them. And so this in the case 2, these are the individuals who are facing the charges as have been brought against them. And the first is Akonta Mining Company Limited, of course, a company limited, and so they will come off as private. a body corporate, and so he will be recognized as a separate individual from the directors, amongst many other things. Incorporated under the laws of the country in November of 2010 with the object of mining and exploration. Then there is Bernard Nchibo, known as Wontumi. A 49-year-old entrepreneur and one of the two shareholders and one of the two directors of Akonta Mining.
Right.
Kwame Entry, listed as the other shareholder and other director of Akonta Mining in the records of the Office of the Registrar of Companies. He's at large.
He's at large.
In the first case as well, he's at large. Edward Ekiako is a general manager of Akonta Mining. He's 48. Kojo Usu Bempa, alias Sly, is operations manager at Akonta.
He's also at large.
He's also at large.
Yes.
And so these are the, first off, the charges against Wontumi.
Maybe Helen will take us through that. The charges against Wontumi and 4 others.
Count 1, undertaking mining operations without a license.
Take your time. What are you excited about?
No, I want us to follow along with it. Count 1, undertaking mining operations without a license. Okay, we've gone to count 4.
Yeah.
Is that the reason for that? Okay, because there are different counts for different accused.
Different accused
Yes, so
persons.
this is specific to Wontumi.
Wontumi Akonta Mining Company Limited.
Right.
Count 4, felling trees in a forest reserve without authority.
The best in the morning.
Count
is
6,
92.7.
erecting buildings in a forest reserve without authorization. You cannot go into the forest and build skyscraper. You can't do that. You can't go and build anything.
Is that not happening in Akonta Forest?
There's something going on there.
Forever.
Now, Bernard Entry Bosiakon, aka Chairman Wontumi, is the second accused. Now, he's pled not guilty to all the counts. What are the counts that have come before? What is he being accused of? Count 2, undertaking a mining operation without a license. Count 5, abetting the unauthorized felling of trees. Count 6, erecting buildings in a forest reserve without authorization. Then you've got count 7, abetting the unauthorized erection of buildings. Then you've got Kwame Entry. He's the third accused at large. At large means what? You can't find you.
Yes.
Okay.
Vanished.
It's vanished.
It's vanished.
Yeah. And
I'm doing the tree transit. When they say, "Oh, then walking around,"
it's gone.
running away.
Nobody tired the door.
And Kwame Entry is the co-director of Akonta Mining, and he has counts 2, 5, and 7 against him. He's jointly charged with Wontumi for undertaking mining without a license, abetting unauthorized felling of trees, and also the abetment of erection of unauthorized buildings, all in the forest reserve. You have Edward Akwoku, fourth accused. He is the general manager at Akonta Mining. He's got counts 3, 5, and 7 against him. So, undertaking mining operations without a license, and he's also jointly charged for abetting the unauthorized felling of trees as well as the erection of buildings in a forest reserve.
And we've been told the forest reserves, even before the lands minister announced that they will be declared security zones,
Right.
they have been security zones already. That's why some are even questioning why we are
authorized for people. No, because there was actually an LI which allowed for mining to happen in those forest reserves.
So that one does away with the security zone designation.
Because if there's a law that says that, you can go and mine there, then you have opened the floodgates.
Got it.
You got it. You have opened the floodgates.
Yeah, that's why the CSOs have been pushing for it to be repealed.
Exactly.
And we've been promised that will happen again. We just wait to see.
Well, the government promised that in opposition, but upon assumption of power, they amended it. Right? They amended it. They tweaked it a bit. But now the acting minister, I forgot his name. Amakofibua. He has written to the Attorney General to advise him on how to proceed so that it can be repealed, cleared off the books, which I think is a good step to begin with.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now we also have the fifth accused, also at large, Kwejo Owusu-Bempah, and he's the operations manager at Akonta Mining. Also has counts 3, 5, and 7 against him. He's also jointly charged with Akoku for undertaking unlicensed mining, abetting the felling of trees, and aiding the construction of unauthorized structures. And that's what we have in terms of what the charges are looking like against Akonta Mining and these individuals named.
Clearly, we need to stop Galamsey now.
Sunrise on 3 FM.
They have been admitted to bail on various sums and justification. We are working on executing the bail conditions. We are currently working with the registrar of the court. Unfortunately, at this time, we are not able to secure the release of the accused persons for reason that the police will have to go and inspect their houses, the sureties, the houses of the sureties, and come back and give a report before the registrar could execute the bail bonds. So for now, bail granted in both cases. What I have to explain is that there is one case pending before Court 4, Criminal Court 4, and another pending before Criminal Court 1. We secured the bail and its associated conditions in the morning, only be slapped with another case that we needed to go to Court 1 to prosecute. So the charge sheet as given to us was around 2 o'clock. So the court has just finished the second one and also granted bail. They are alleged to have committed and also making it difficult for them to be able to discharge their responsibility to secure the bail. It's a national issue that we need to discuss and accept. It's becoming too many that
The best in the morning.
accused persons are being subjected to the difficulty of finding value for properties that will secure their bail. It is a national issue that we need to discuss. I'm not sure that there is anything under it, but there is a process that we need to accept and make sure that it serves the purpose for which the law was made. And in any case, they are alleged to have committed, and also making it difficult for them to be able to discharge their responsibility to secure the bail. It's a national issue that we need to discuss and not accept. It's becoming too many that accused persons are being subjected to a difficulty of finding value for properties that will secure their bail.
The best in the morning is on 92.7 Sunrise on 3FM.
Sunrise, and we've just been walking you through the charges as filed against Chairman Wontumi and different individuals, two separate cases, as we've been walking you through. Let me bring in Austin Braco Powers, a private legal practitioner who's joining us this morning in studio as well. Helen has been here throughout, and so Austin, good morning.
Good morning, Mawuena. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. By God's grace. By God's grace.
We bless God for life.
Yeah. We're thanking God. I mean, we've just been going through it all. Yesterday, Chairman Wontumi was in court. It came with a lot of security presence, amongst many other things. But we've been hearing from the lawyers who said they weren't aware that they were going to be having to face two separate courts, criminal court 1, criminal court 4. Let me start off perhaps with that. Is it the case that when a client is picked up by the police, investigations are conducted, and there's a case that you have to make an appearance in court, counsel for the client will not be aware of that in the lead up to appearing before the second court, which was the argument they were seeking to make?
Yes, Mawuena, let me say one more morning to your listeners and those who are watching from social media. I think I'm equally surprised to hear that from the lawyers of Chairman Wontumi, because in any case, the Attorney General is expected to have informed them that I'm charging you or I'm placing you before this court, so that they will be aware. But I mean, be that as it may, I don't think it should come as a surprise in any way or disadvantage Chairman Wontumi and his legal team, because after all, you are all within the same premise, within the same high court complex. So if you are being charged before two separate courts, I think it's okay that you just walk into one of the courts, have your pleadings taken, and when you are done, you walk into the other court. I think the Attorney General should have given them prior notice.
Right.
But without the notice, I don't think it in any way it changes anything gravely to the disadvantage of Chairman Wontumi.
But he couldn't secure bail yesterday as well. I think from what we understand, his lawyers, or the police rather, are supposed to verify the sureties, reason for which he couldn't make it out, him along with some of the other accused persons. Did that come to you as a surprise, considering that, he had been to Yoko, he had to spend the night or so there as well?
No, I think we need to get this message clearly to our audience that when a court imposes a bail condition on you, it could be either it could be justification. You must justify or not. So when the court says you should justify, it means that they will have to conduct a preliminary investigation to find out if indeed the property that you are bringing or the property that the surety is bringing is worth the amount.
Right.
So that is the justification. So they have to investigate it. And usually, if you've been to the police, they will tell you, sometimes they will tell you it's 6 p.m. So we won't be able to go and inspect the property. That's why normally it happens. So when the court says you must justify the surety, it means that they have to go and investigate and make sure that indeed, even they have to go to they have to visit the locals. So when we say locals, the location. So they have to visit the location. If indeed the property is situated at the place you claim it is, then they also have to look at the documents to see if indeed it is worth the amount. So I think looking at the charges, I don't think it is out of place for the court to impose a sanction with surety having been justified. Usually, the thing is, if you're unable to meet your bail conditions, it just means that you are not able to secure your freedom or your liberty. So by reason of that, the police will have to detain you until you're able to discharge. Because the thing is, the court has granted you a check to cash your own liberty, but you have been unable to do that. So by reason of that, you'll be detained until you're able to discharge that bail condition.
There's a bit of education as well, perhaps, in all of this bail conversation. The first court slapped him with 15 million cedis bail, with surety, some to be justified and all of that. Then the second court as well, 10 million cedis with justification. I think even in the conversations we've been having in the newsrooms and all of that, there's a bit of a need for an education. Some ask the question, can you use the same properties for justification in those two bail conditions, or he has to look for separate properties or separate sureties for the first requirements for bail, which was 15 million cedis, then look for a separate one as well? If that is the case, some will argue that is trying to keep him behind bars in either of the courts. What's the rule like?
Well, it's simple. Imagine you have a house and you've mortgaged the house to say you use the house as a collateral to secure a loan. Can you use the same house to secure another loan?
So you can't use the same...
Exactly. Because the very property is encumbered. Now, when you use the property when the surety uses his or her property, it is encumbered. So it means that it is now within the clause of the law. So that property has been in a way, quote unquote, maybe seized. So you cannot, because it's like I said, it is encumbered. So you cannot use the same property to secure another loan. Because if you mortgage your property to secure a loan facility from any bank, you cannot use the same property document to go and secure another loan. Because already that bank will now has a legitimate claim over your property. So by reason of that, you cannot use the same claim. So I think the audience must get the message clear. He has been charged in two separate courts.
Right.
Bail conditions have been imposed. 10 million, 50 million, some to be justified, some not to be justified. Then when that happens, you cannot use the same property to secure you cannot use the same property before two separate courts.
Right.
The moment you use the property to secure the 10 million bail condition, that is done. It is encumbered. You need to go and look for another property. Because you see, remember, when you are unable to, in fact, the reason why the court imposes a bail condition is to what? Secure your presence. When I need you, I want you to come. Now, the surety is like a guarantor. If Chairman Wontumi is unable to present himself,
that person will have to.
That person will have a legitimate claim or legitimate response to give before the court.
Yeah.
Then that is where the court will now say, okay, since you're unable to secure his presence, then this is a bail condition. You must honor the bail condition. So that property cannot be used to secure two separate or used before two separate courts. So the audience and the listeners should get it clear. One property for one court, another property for another court, separate. And we should not, I think you see, the idea is that in our laws, one act alone, and we've discussed it, Mawuena, we've discussed this on your platform, one act alone can give room to multiple offenses.
Yeah.
But one offense cannot give room to multiple punishments. So one act alone, so maybe illegal mining, can give room to multiple because there are separate laws that sanction one particular act. So let's say driving without a third-party insurance. That alone is a street liability. If you are caught without a third-party insurance, driving a vehicle without a third-party insurance, that alone is a street liability. Now, when in the course of driving you hit a pedestrian, that's another offense. So already there's a first offense and there's another offense. So one act, driving one act, has given room to multiple. So the listeners should get the message. He has been charged with multiple offenses. It is a decision of the Attorney General to decide which court to place you. That is his decision. Because, like I always say, a mother knows the father of the child. I mean, every mother, every woman. Let me say every woman. Every woman
knows the father.
Or you disagree.
I don't disagree.
So Mawuena, so that is it. So he has to get two separate properties to secure the two bail conditions.
That's a very useful education. I need to stress on because the conversations had come up, but there are those who say that if this is the case, then that will be a bit high-handed because how do you get 15 million cedis worth of property for one court and then 10 million for another court? That could be trying to ensure the person can't meet the bail conditions and possibly will be detained for quite a while.
I think usually the bail conditions are dependent on the offense for which you have been charged. You know, so they look at the nature of the offense. Don't forget that in one of the court, he's being charged for assignment of binding mineral rights without prior approval. Yeah, and there are also other charges regards to encouraging and facilitating or purposely facilitating mining, unlicensed mining. Yeah, you know, these are, and when you look at so you look at the punishment. What is the punishment? When you look at, particularly if it's found culpable,
I was hearing in one of such instances you could go up, you could be imprisoned to up to 15 years. Yeah.
So in fact, when you look at Section 99 to be as amended of the Minerals and Mining Act 703. In fact, the sanction regime, you could pay 120,000 to 180,000 Ghana cedis plus jail term of between 15 years and 25 years. So combined, it's not disjointed. So you are paying the fine, and then you are saving the jail term. When you look at Section 99 to be of,
I think we revised. We amended the law to make it more stringent to punish persons who engage in activities of illegal mining.
No, because when you look at the initial act itself had a lot of loopholes. Because a lot of loopholes, and you know our law is clear. When you look at the 1992 Constitution, Article 19, that you cannot be punished for an offence which has not been prescribed and written, and the sanction not prescribed. Yeah. So it gave leeway to people to do everything, because if an act is enacted and that act does not prescribe a particular act or that law does not prescribe a particular act, it means that when you go against it, you cannot be punished, because you go under Article 19 and the court will say, oh yes, it's true. So you can't punish him. You know, so our sanction regime is clear. In fact, when you look at the Chachukata cases, the courts made it clear that you cannot punish somebody for an offense which had not been prescribed, particularly at the time when the offense was committed. If it is not an offense and later you make it an offense, you cannot go back and say, oh,
take retrospective.
Exactly. You cannot go back and say, I'm going back to punish ABCD for an offense, for an act he committed at the time
where there was no prescribed sanctions for the act.
You get it. So I think we should get that mindset. So it is the offense, the nature of offense, that determines the bail conditions that the court will impose on a particular. And you see, the thing is, Mawuena, we need to, when the court is, the judges are on their own. They have the powers of the state. In fact, when they speak for the state. So when a case is before them, they control the case. The moment you present your case before them, they now control the case. But when you have the docket in your bedroom or in your office, that is your problem.
It's within your jurisdiction.
Exactly. But in court, they are the laws in the court. So they determine, and you see, they have, like I said, when you look at Section 96 of Act 30, it is a discretionary power. They can determine what bail condition to impose and whether to even grant bail or not. So it is within their determination to make. So we should get it. We shouldn't see it as, I mean, you can argue about the quantum, the amount. That is fair. I mean, it's a fair commentary. But you must also take into consideration that the judges look at several factors. The nature of the offense. In fact, they also look at, even sometimes you look at the mood. You have to look at the mood of the
country in terms of whether or not the person can be granted.
Exactly. And also the person himself. When you have to look at the person himself. Is he a repeated offender? Is he somebody that is notorious for a particular act? You know, so they have a wide array of factors they need to consider before arriving at that. So people are at liberty to disagree with the bail term, but I think it's fair.
Austin, can they also maybe look at, I don't know, if you're purporting to be a very wealthy individual, will they even will that even come into play, or that's just by the wayside? If you're often seen to be maybe driving big cars, or we see you, will they think, well, this is somebody who clearly has the means? Does that come into play, or is that not a factor?
No, it's not a factor.
Okay.
It's not a factor. Helen, the thing is, the factors are circumscribed.
Okay.
You know, they are legal, they are in the law. So, but usually, you cannot stray outside a certain parameter which has been defined by the law. So you must work within it. When you stray, then it means that the other party or either the accused person has an opportunity to quash or to bring an application for your decision to be quashed, because you are straying outside the law. So we have something we say in law, jurisdictions are statutorily imposed. So is a law that tell you, is the particular law that tells you, Helen, you have jurisdiction, you can determine A, B, C. So the law has given you A, B, C. When you determine D, you strayed.
Okay.
It means that you've gone outside your jurisdiction. Then it gives an opportunity to the accused person or a defendant to challenge your decision, because you have been encased in a particular space and you've gone outside the space.
Of that.
You know, it's like having a pen, and maybe you have your a cage for your dog, and usually during the day you keep the dog in the cage. But in the evening you open the dog to come out. So what if in the evening, instead of releasing the dog, you still keep the dog in the cage? So the cage is supposed to be where the dog is supposed to be. But when you release a dog in the daytime, it's like you've gone outside your jurisdiction. So the courts would not ordinarily consider whether you are affluent or not.
I see. And
whether you have been living this extravagant lifestyle. They don't look at that. The decision is based on a string of factors, and they must work within that. Those parameters.
Right. It's important you mention that the judge in all of these matters will have to consider quite a number of things, the mood of the country, the person involved, amongst many other things. Does that go beyond just the bail conditions? Because the subject of Galamsey is very huge. It's dominated conversations for the last 4+ years. Up until now, we're still talking about Galamsey. We've been speaking about Galamsey every day on this platform. Is that a consideration going into this case and when the hearings is expected?
Mawuena, public policy is an important determinant when it comes to law. In fact, when judges are taking decisions, they are sometimes swayed by public policy. In fact, it is even public policy is even sometimes it is even the most expensive currency than the law itself. Most expensive currency than the law itself. You look at public policy. What is the policy of the country? The country want to, like you were articulated, we want to stamp out Galamsey. So now the consensus is that the president has set up 9 months. Now there are other organizations. Now the president said, just pressurize me so that I also deliver. That should tell you that now the policy is that we want to stamp out Galamsey. And that policy direction alone can sway the decision of the court. In fact, yes, so usually a court may want to take a particular line or may want to toe a particular line, but when the judge realizes the mood, the policy direction of the country, the judge will say, okay, if the country wants to go this way, then let me do this to send a strong message to outsiders or those who are engaged in that particular act that you cannot toy with the environment or toy with our water bodies. So public policy, Mawuena, has an important role when it comes to decisions of judges.
And we're talking about prosecutions as well. The government has stated its intent in terms of speaking to or having engagement with the acting attorney general, to the acting chief justice, I should say, to have the courts fast track the Galamsey processes. There is that. And now the Attorney General during that engagement last week mentioned that the public tribunals, there's an act that is expected to go to Parliament, and they'll be expecting Parliament to help them limit the tribunals to 6 months in being able to deal with Galamsey matters. I want to pick your thoughts on that, because the public tribunals, its return is a subject of contention for a lot of people, particularly for lawyers, because you say that it reminds us of the dark days. And
it's always such a polarizing conversation.
Absolutely.
Those who are for public tribunals and those who are against, and it's often traced back to our history. So I'm very curious to find out what side of the coin that Austin Bracco Powell is
because the GBA, I recall in our history, had asked lawyers not to appear before the public tribunals.
Yes, those days when it was in session.
When it was in session. And so now the idea is being mooted. I don't want to go into what people had thought it would be used for, but now we've got a specific assignment, even though there will be other assignments for it. What do you make of it? It be brought in so that we can begin to deal ruthlessly with the Galamsey perpetrators.
Mawuena, first off, the tribunal has always been with us. In fact, when you take the constitution, is there.
That's right.
In fact, so I'm asking myself, is the Attorney General seeking to expand the powers of or the jurisdiction of the public tribunal? It's already there. Is it? The fact that we don't use it doesn't mean we cannot use it. It's been there. If people have some nostalgia moment or they feel that when they hear public tribunal, sometimes, Mawuena, I always say reputational damage. Public tribunal could have served us. It was just because of reputational damage. It's suffering from reputational damage.
The fact that you go there and guilty and
exactly
it's thrown out.
I think the issue has to do with the perception that people felt it was there headed by people who were not lawyers, laymen, and they took decisions based on their own understanding of a particular fact. So that's why I'm saying that the reputational damage. So, but public tribunal has always been with us, Helen. Our law is there. It's clear that their jurisdiction is limited to economic laws, laws to the states. Their jurisdiction is limited. Maybe I'm hoping the Attorney General is seeking to expand.
That's what he's seeking to do.
Expand.
He mentioned that he will be even asking Parliament to help them first of try and set a timelines as to dealing with Galamsey specific issues. Because you mentioned economic and matters having to do with the state.
Yes.
Then matters of Galamsey cannot possibly go to the public tribunal if the Chief Justice said he has had the acting Chief Justice has said that public tribunals are back and appointments can be made as to the chairs can be made to head the tribunals.
No, so I'm hopeful. I think it will be a good a good thing for us. We need to claw back the pressure on our traditional courts, because they are currently inundated with a lot of cases. A particular court will have to deal with sometimes in a year more than 100 cases, and just imagine and within the 100 cases, you can trust that they will not be able to complete even 50% of these cases. Some will have to travel a year later, 2 years, 3 years. So some will even drag on. So with the public tribunal system, in seeking to expand their jurisdiction, will help. But we always have to be cautious.
Where the caution.
But when I heard the Attorney General say, we'll appoint the people. Sometimes, if you don't appoint people in an open manner, open, transparent manner, you will pick your own people who will speak your own language.
But has that always not been the case? I mean, I've tend to see a lot more wisdom in that argument that is made by Martin. People always that look, the law is viewed from the lenses of the person who does the appointments. In the US, there are conservatives and then there are the Democrats. When it's the turn of a conservative government and there's an opening on the Supreme Court, they don't go and pick a person who is a liberal. They pick someone who views the law from their perspective, and that will always be the case.
But that's why the American political system is polarized, and they are. You see extremists when this person is a Republican. He or she is a Republican to the core. If it's a Democrat to the core. So,
But ours is not pretense. Has it not been pretense? No, because you always appoint somebody who
say somebody who's ideologically inclined.
Absolutely. Looks at the law of violences.
No, I think we have managed to fashion out a system that is helping us.
A pretense system? Because I like to see it as a pretense system.
I mean, to say it's a form of pretense, I think you are entitled to that. But I think, when you look at the blueprint Kwame Nkrumah designed for us in terms of integration, national integration, you realize that it was a deliberate attempt to make sure that we even forget about our ethnic backgrounds.
Absolutely.
To make sure that we concentrate on
nationalistic viewpoint of building the country.
Exactly. So when you pick the same blueprint and you want to impose it on the political system, if we're able to execute it, I think it will help us. Because sometimes merit is important. If Helen deserves a particular position, you can't say because Helen is anti your political ideology, so you won't.
But have we not? We've seen that play out. I mean, far too many.
No, we have. But there are times when you see the dynamics. You remember the appointment of the first is it the office special general?
The special prosecutor.
You remember?
By President Kufuor appointed somebody outside of his,
exactly.
Yeah.
You get it. A core NDC man.
That's right.
Do you get it? Who was even he was not able to discharge his responsibility and had to leave the first special prosecutor to leave that office. No, so at time and when President Mama also came in. He has appointed a few people in academia.
Not yes.
In fact, to the displeasure of some of the grassroots who say this person is not ideologically inclined.
Exactly. Remember Professor Jampo?
Yeah.
Professor Jampo, in fact, some grassroots members, as Helen said, they believe, but this is not a card-bearing member. So why give him that position? But he believes that he can help in moving the country forward. So I think sometimes we need to adopt, even though sometimes we also need to satisfy the grassroots. But sometimes we need to bring in some of these few individuals to change the dynamics. I think Mawuena is a work in progress, but we must not be hardliners. I will preach against the taking a hardline position.
Yeah, the extreme.
Exactly. It won't help us, because in the end you pick people who may not be able to discharge the work that you want. So we need to first consider the interests of the state.
Right, you have a few more before we go for a quick spot of commercial, and then we return for the other leg of the conversation.
Nothing before we go on that break, just that when we come back, I suppose we can get into exactly what these charges are and what...
We'll do a bit of that. I think we'll have that come back again and what all of that will mean. But you're so live here on Sunrise, here on 3FM 92.7. Just these quick spot of commercials, and then we'll return for the conversations. 3FM Sunrise, and we're just going to run through again, like Helen suggested, these charges as brought against Chairman Wontumi, just for a bit more in terms of the education, and then what we can look forward to as well. And if Frederick can have them come up again, but you had mentioned one of such, and off the top of my head, I recall a number of them as well, where he had assigned a mining license to an individual without approval from the minister.
Yes.
That was in the first case brought against him, where he was him and then two others before Akonta mining, and then some 4 others as well, which was the second in court. That had to do with him assigning a mining concession to somebody without approval.
Two individuals.
To 2 individuals without approval as well.
Yes, that's so. But I think we need to put the issue in proper perspective. That's a claim. That's a claim of the Republic.
Yeah,
the Republic is claiming that he had assigned mineral rights, or he has assigned his license to 2 individuals. So that's a claim of the. So we are not. It's not to make it too categorical, because these are
allegations.
Matters that are open to dispute. Yes, dispute.
They have to be substantiated and proven beyond reasonable doubt in the competent court.
Exactly. So in the first court, there were 6 charges. So 3 bordering on assignment without prior approval of the minister, and 3 others regarding purposely facilitating unlicensed mining. That is in the first court.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so those are the charges he's supposed to. And then the second one as well, that has to do with Akonta mining, entering a forest reserve where they didn't have a permit to be in, and then mining and putting up structures as well.
Yeah. So I think I think let's understand this. The first one regarding the assignment of his mineral rights,
they had a license.
They had a license.
That's
exactly, they had a license. And remember, and that was conducted. That was an investigation recently conducted. But the one with 5 others, where they entered in, where the allegation is that they entered into the Nimri forest to mine without approval. That flowed from the 2022 investigation conducted into the matter, wherein it was alleged that the previous government tried to hide the docket.
We were told the docket went missing and it was found after 4 years, something like that.
Yes, that's a claim of the Attorney General, that it took some efforts on his part and that of the Environmental Protection Agency head to get that done. So clearly we are seeing enough. I think largely, Mawuena, this is more like a fresh air, or let me say fresh oxygen in our own anti-galamsey fight. It pumps fresh oxygen into our anti-galamsey fight. There are a lot to be seen. I have said that if you want to go after the kingpins, let's also see those from your political party.
Absolutely.
Because there are others in your political party who are equally guilty, or who are equally engaging in some of these illegal acts. So let's get them. So the Ghanaians will feel that you are fighting for everybody, but it should not be seen that you are fighting against a particular political party.
Right, right. Let's end it on Galamsey and talk the National Service portal. Yesterday, the bosses there addressed a news conference, and we'll take a listen to exactly it is. I think it's a report put together by my colleague Noble Crosby and detailing what the issues are, and then from there we'll have a conversation as well about the ghost names and whether or not we can ever bring to an end this challenge of persons using a scheme where it's supposed to have young people contribute their little quota. They're using it as a means to rape the coffers of the state.
After months of anxiety and confusion over when the 2025-2026 national service would begin, following the suspension of the deployment system over transparency and security concerns, the road is now clear for applicants to begin the online registration process starting from Wednesday, 7th October 2025, with the official starting date of service being 3rd November 2025.
The 2025-2026 National Service Registration will open from Wednesday, 8th October 2025 and ends on Wednesday, 15th October 2025. It's going to be for a period of 1 week because already we are way behind time. I am sorry to inform you that all registrants who registered in June 2025 will need to register again, as the previous registrations are now considered null and void. For all those who made payments in June, I assure you that your monies will be refunded to you. All prospective national service personnel are now required to log on to our new website via www.gnsa.gov.gh.
The Director General of the authority, Ruth Della Sedo, addressing the media, noted the service had improved on all fronts, including transparency, security, and ease of service.
Management has taken steps to introduce stringent IT reforms and enhanced internal controls with proper banking trails to combat payroll fraud. The authority has collaborated with the Controller and Accountant General's Department, and I'm pleased to assure you that payroll fraud will be a thing of the past. I want to assure you that we will operate with radical transparency. The time for talking is over. The era of action begins now.
She added, the service will begin basic military training for the first 10,000 personnel starting this year.
The authority, in collaboration with Ghana Armed Forces, will begin implementing basic military training for the first 10,000 national service personnel starting this service year. Our goal is for this training to instill discipline, foster a sense of national pride, and prepare our young people to become future leaders in both the public and private sector.
So that's Ruth Della Sedo says that stringent measures have been put in place. We didn't get the full details from the story as to the stringent measures, and I've tried to go online as well to get an understanding. Okay. But what I know is we have a new portal which is supposed to take care of this registration between now and the 3rd of November, where the service here is supposed to start.
Well, it is. I'm surprised she was categorical that payroll fraud will be a thing of the past. I'm sure this is not the first time we're having this conversation. In this country, over decades, several decades, we've had to discuss the issue of payroll fraud. And in fact, let me put it on record that it is not only it's not only an issue with the National Service Scheme, but when you go to most of our public institutions, their payrolls are infested with ghost names. In fact, fake identities of even sometimes it will surprise you that sometimes past employees continue to receive salaries. Past employees continue to receive salaries, and sometimes they create personalities that do not exist.
We saw one at the Tamale Teaching Hospital when they appeared before the Public Accounts Committee.
Exactly. So it's not an issue with it's not a peculiar issue with the National Service Scheme. There must be a holistic attempt. In fact, the previous government thought the Ghana card would have solved this problem, but it looks like we are not making any headway. The Ghana card will not do anything. The issue is that I remember when I was doing my service, it was then the manual process. You have to before you even get paid, you have to fill a form, take it to your supervisor, direct supervisor from the institution you have been posted to. He has to sign. Then you take it to the metro director. The metro director will also sign. In fact, you have to do that physically. And I'm trying to say that the verification process, I don't know what happened, magically no longer existed during the previous administration. did not exist, because that process, if you want to digitalize that process, you must not take away the multi-party verification or approval process.
Right.
Because the multi-party approval process helps to sanitize the system and to take out, and I'm even surprised, Mawuena, that people will be, students will be created. Fictional students or fictitious students will be created, and they will be given an identity under University of Ghana. And University of Ghana will not determine, will not detect
will
that.
not have an idea.
KNUST will not detect that. UCC will not be able to detect that. Some students, I think we need to have, the university need to have a tab on some of these issues. Because if you sign off your list of graduates, or let me say, impending graduate to the National Service Scheme, you must keep a tab on the list. And when they are approved for service, you must be able to go into the system and see the number of students that have been approved for your schools.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So that the universities also have some kind of backdoor access to check that, okay, the names and references we provided tally with your final approved list. Because that came up where even the reference numbers didn't correspond with what the university originally originates.
Exactly.
And they said there's a different set of reference numbers that don't even come
ID
from
cards.
the
You know, all the universities, they have a way of generating the ID cards. In fact, they manage those. Those responsible manage to create some semblance of university and UG and KNUST ID cards.
Yeah.
But when they went in fact, those ID cards did not exist in any way.
They don't even match the number. So if it's a UG11, maybe your course is there. This one was just
exactly. They were trying to be smart, so they look at maybe sometimes 10, 24. So when I was at University of Ghana, my ID number was 10, 24, 13, 24.
Okay.
Yeah, you still recall it, huh?
I still remember everything. 10, 24, 13, 24. So they look at previous service personnel. In fact, they look at previous service personnel. Then they compare it to the current list University of Ghana has submitted or KNUST has submitted to them. Then they try to manage, randomly to pick certain numbers. So, Helen, the thing is that if we want to check this system, I think the Director General was she was too categorical that payroll fraud. The Auditor General, and one thing that gets me worried is the issue about the auditors. Don't we have auditors who normally audit these things? They go around to audit them. How come they were not able to detect some of these things?
Do you smell complicity in there?
Helen, this is an enterprise. It's an empire.
Okay.
This is an empire. So when she said, it will be a thing of the past, I'm even surprised. Because your own people will sabotage you. The people there will sabotage you. This is an empire. And you cannot, and the fact that you've smoked out a few of them does not mean that is the end of the deal. Some of them are hiding.
And so even with this assurance that there is improved security revamped,
I'm not
we
optimistic.
run the risk of coming back, say, a year or two later and having conversations about ghost names again.
Mawuena, she didn't tell us entirely what they have done to get rid of the ghost names.
Right.
Beyond changing the website, we need to know. Tell the citizens. We took A, B, C, D to get rid of. How many names did you even read from the system? How many names have you determined or detected so far from the system? We don't have all these specificities. How then do you trust the system? How then do you trust the system? Because you can't tell us and we cannot buy whatever you are telling us simply because there's a change in websites. Mawuena, changing a website does not even solve any problem. Wow, we've had so many websites.
And it's important you mention the website because of the revelations which were made. And I will say that I'll be honest, I've been privy to some details which perhaps may or may have not come to the public light with reference to what happened under the previous administration, that the authorities at the National Service Authority had access to the back end of the system which was used to manage control the personnel, and the adding on was done from that back end. And so sometimes not necessarily, there will be people who will do it from the respective schools and want to take, because in one of such cases, the details which has been provided by the Attorney General, it says one of the directors has a card, an e-switch card, which had in excess of 1 million plus CDs on it.
Okay.
And was receiving the allowance of over 100 students at a time. So they have access to the back end where they add on, and that is what was even the biggest of all of the challenges, not even the ones which are added from the universities.
But that's where Austin says that if you've got internal auditors who don't spot things that have been added on, it means that it's a whole cabal.
No, it's a cabal.
They're all in cahoots. Because if I add something from the back end, you as an auditor, you go and you say, okay, this university has this numbers, let's check it. But if you also don't see, then it means you're all doing this together.
because Helen, when you are auditing the National Service Scheme, the first thing you must look out for, how many students did the universities, just as of the list, the submission list, the list the university submitted. Check the list and cross-check the list with the one in the system. But if you go and you look at the superficial things and you leave these important things, even sometimes you may think it is mundane, it's not important. But that is where the problem comes from. Sometimes, like you were articulated, the universities may be padding up. The universities may also add 2 or 3 names or 20 names to the list. Go beyond that. They have a graduation list. They have a graduation list. So you look at the graduation list and you look at it. But you see, we need to be mindful. Sometimes it's not all the students
those on the graduation list who actually
do their service. You can find out.
But you can get it.
Their records will be there. When did they actually leave and why?
But is it, Mawuena, you were talking about the website. You know, these days we talk about blockchain. Helen, we talk about blockchain. Why do we use blockchain?
It's an expensive system.
Which one is the blockchain?
It's a system that prevents that.
It's a digital ledger.
Exactly, it's a ledger. It's a digital ledger.
You can't add or subtract.
In fact, it monitors transaction from one end to another.
Okay.
So connected with a particular system. So you have for example, if we install blockchain on that NSS website, wherever you be, Helen, you can monitor and see if anyone wants to alter anything at the back end.
Okay.
In fact, it will not even allow it because there will have to be multi-party approval. In fact, for fraud to occur on a blockchain device, there has to be all the parties.
Everybody on board has to have
and say that we want to dupe the state. So that's why I'm saying this website, we don't know the specification, whether it has blockchain, whether it has an opportunity to prevent, Mawuena, what you said, prevent other people from accessing the back end to alter details. We just is an empire, Helen. Is a major empire.
To the extent that we had even Kenyans on the list. I mean, somewhere 100 years. What was this?
And on that note, I mean, it brings us back to the question of the previous case of the pardon, the ghost names, and where we are currently in terms of prosecutions as well, because these details were openly discussing the question, and we've had a lot of people actually call in and ask questions about that. Why are we not seeing the requisite action from the Attorney General's office in respect of this NSS ghost name scandal?
I want to add to that because from a layman or a laywoman's perspective, you're thinking, that's idea open and shut, especially when you get details, you see it in the papers.
It's like it appears to be hard evidence.
It appears to be hard evidence, but the lawyers, the Austin Bracco powers will come and tell us, well, it's not so straightforward. And I think that is also sparking some of that frustration in the average Ghanaian. Is that something that we are missing in this discourse? Because Ghanaians are getting so impatient when cases seem open and shut, but we see it's traveling a long time.
No, I think, Helen, the issue has to do with the fact that we demonize people in the media before we hear from them. In fact, we condemn people before we hear from them.
Right.
So by the time we hear from them, we've already condemned them. That is the problem. And this Attorney General has fueled that kind of.
You mean with the
perception.
press conferences?
Yes, he has fueled that kind of. I mean, Helen, it's fine to organize press conferences and tell Ghanaians what you are doing. But to say that I have core evidence and this person will go to jail and this person
But
will
also,
do
can I
this.
slight tackle you here? Because the Attorney General is taking that prosecutorial stance. They don't have to. They are trying to find you guilty. Does he have to be soft? He is there to try and put you behind bars. So he's also advancing his own.
Helen, that's why, usually they always say you have X on your face.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day. No, you see, the thing is that the law is one thing. Condemning one person in the media is another thing.
Okay.
The fact that you've condemned the person in the media doesn't mean the court will sanction that or the court supports you.
That's right.
And that's where I always say that we must be careful. Because when we do that, we will be inciting citizens against our own people.
That's right.
In fact, when we are not 100% sure or confident that we will secure conviction, Helen, I'm saying that the Attorney General can go about his press conferences, tell the Ghanaian, the ordinary Ghanaian, the fact you have, the evidence you have adduced. Don't tell them that I have core evidence by which reason I can secure conviction. What if you don't end up securing conviction?
You see, the damage would have been done.
You've condemned the person.
Right.
See this whole NSS ghost names. In fact, there were people who were advocating that lady. Is it
the one of the deputy?
Exactly,
Yes.
the deputy who is with the GFA, who is one of GFA executives. In fact,
Gift your worry.
exactly, Gift your worry. People were saying jail, but the law grinds slowly. Helen, the law grinds. In fact, we have subscribed to ourselves rule of law. We said we want to respect rule of law. If you want to respect rule of law, Helen, even when you believe you have core evidence, you must also believe in the constitutional provision that he or she is innocent until what? Proven guilty. So, it is the duty of the Attorney General to manage expectation. We should stop fanning, fanning the anger of Ghanaians. Sometimes sometimes I understand that it is to appease.
Because the Attorney General is also a politician. And that is that marriage, that means that we won't always get it right because the grassroots are calling. You want to also be seen to be doing what they've asked you to do. You're taking that adversarial nature to also appease the people.
But LA is about professionalism.
Right.
You need to be professional. Because when you are in that position, you are serving Ghanaians. You are not serving your political party.
Right.
Even though so sometimes our politicians find it difficult to distinguish between being a politician and being a patriotic Ghanaian. And that's where the difficulty lies. So when they are taking decisions, they tend to be more political. Or let me say partisan.
Right.
Partisan will be a better way. They tend to be more partisan than nationalistic. The Attorney General is rather expected to promote the innocence of people. These are people you've investigated. You have evidence. That's fine. Take it to court. Don't forget the previous Attorney General thought he had a watertight case against
Kasela
Atuforsen. What happened?
It came to naught in the end.
Was that watertight though? I mean,
no, he thought he had a watertight. That's why I'm saying that this current Attorney General must also tread cautiously. Don't think you are all fortified. You have a waterproof case. So by which reason you can secure conviction? No, you don't know what the court thinks. The court will also may think otherwise.
Right.
So we need to manage the expectation of people, and we need to avoid condemning people before we hear from them. I think in all this saga, we've not heard from the so-called people we've condemned in the media. We've not heard from them. You don't worry, we've not heard from her.
The AG said they were singing. Some of them were singing like
we don't know
canary birds and all
that.
of that.
We don't know who was singing as yet.
We're hoping to come forward with details. And so when you tell us this, and you tell us that at one point, searches were conducted in one of the director's home, and in the search, they found a card with his details and his name on it, which was receiving payments from the NSS and all of that. The next question I'll ask is, with all this body of evidence,
what next? Why
are we here?
But Mawuena, you can gather. I can come to your house and pick up 2 or 3 documents, and even ATM cards and other things, and intend to tender them in court.
Right.
The fact that I have the intention to tender those documents or materials does not ordinarily mean the court will accept them. There's a difference between you gathering the evidence and the court allowing those.
Gathering the evidence as well
is one thing.
Matter.
And exactly. So the court will now have to evaluate to see if those evidence you claim you have, or the evidence you claim you have, can be admitted in court.
Right.
So Mawuena, it's like I say, let's cut them some slack. Let's give them an opportunity to have their day in court. We must stop the media condemnation and hear from them. I think it will be a difficult thing to do, but I think we can start from a particular point. Let's not condemn them, because they have a constitutional right. In fact, it's a constitutional right. Nobody can take that away from them. That's why the Attorney General, he could have decided to even detain them. Why is he not detaining them? They are innocent.
And every time people see them in the media, it sparks even more anger. They say, hey, Attorney General, I've seen this person here. Change them.
Exactly. It's because we succeeded in fanning anger instead of fanning fidelity, or some people say fidelity to the law.
That way, when it's your turn, you can also rest assured that until you have your day in court, you can also feel free as a citizen.
Exactly. Right. You remember the former sports minister, Yusuf, was also, there were claims that he also participated in the ghost names.
That's right.
Then he issued a statement that he will have his day in court and he will rebut that. So the Attorney General must be careful. In fact, he has particularly succeeded in fanning the anger. I didn't see that from the previous Attorney General.
Right.
Because the previous Attorney General was not doing that. He was not organizing media conferences, telling people, I have this case against ABCD and I'm going
Maybe the approach is different, but
that's right.
No, they don't. They might have, but the thing is, he is a leader of the bar. And per our training, you don't condemn people until you've heard from them.
Definitely different approaches. One says, even if this company offers me money, I won't accept. The other one says, you bring the money, we can talk economics.
We'll have to switch the conversation and then talk what is a conversation which is being mooted by the sports minister, an introduction of a certain tax, which is the sports development tax. Some are asking the question whether or not it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. But I want us to take a listen to the sports minister. We'll get onto the phone lines as well, and then engage some other individuals in relation to the justification by the minister as to why we need a sports development tax or a fund, and then we'll get some more perspective on this.
We are putting in all measures, especially knowing that that's going to be the final game. Every Ghanaian would want to be there, so we put in all the necessary measures, creating the fan bases around for Ghanaians to have a feel of our final qualification game for the World Cup. So I believe that all will be well. By Wednesday, we should have the tickets out, so that people can start purchasing tickets for the game. We will once again engage with the security to make sure all the necessary security networks are put in place, so people who are coming to watch the game and people who are also coming to play will have a safe environment.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Kofi, why are you introducing a sports levy?
Sports levy?
Yes.
I didn't hear anybody talk about.
We are told that the government is introducing a sports levy.
No, government is introducing a sports fund.
that will be able to take care of, or we will have a well-structured funding for sports. We do not have that, and because we do not have a fund, just like the way we have for education, for health and the rest, it's actually challenged our supports for what? Sports and sporting activities. Young people qualify, they struggle, they go through all the processes, and you are unable to push them to participate in the competition. So the government have decided to establish a sports fund, a fund into which all manner of contributions will go into the private corporates, the public corporates, individuals, government itself, and through many other sources will be able to put money in there to use in the development of sports.
What is before Parliament now, and does it come with a levy? Because that's a media discussion that government is introducing.
Let's work with what's before Parliament. You see it. Every document that goes to Parliament, you will find it. You can't establish a fund without a levy. Surely every fund must have a form of a levy that contributes into the fund. I can't specifically here say what levy will be approved by Parliament or not. The bill will be laid in Parliament when Parliament resumes, and Parliament will go through the processes to get the act passed. And once it is passed, a legislation will be developed.
That's the Sports Minister, Kofi Adams. Let's get onto the phone lines right now and let's speak to a member of Parliament for Tain and a member as well of the Youth and Sports Committee, Suleiman Adaman, who's joined us. Also on the line is Dr. George Domfe. He's a development economist and research fellow, Center for Social Policy Studies, and in studio as well. We still have lawyer Bracco Powers with us. Let me start off with you, the Honorable Suleiman Adaman. What is before you in Parliament currently? Because we had the Minister speak to it. Explain to us what is before you in Parliament as a sports committee, and whether or not that concern that is being raised that the government is seeking to introduce a new tax somewhat is going to come through any moment from now.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners. As we speak now, the Committee of Youth and Sports has nothing before us in Parliament now. I heard the Minister talk about the fact that when Parliament resumes, if the bill is laid, then it will be referred to the committee. Until now, it's not been laid, so we have nothing at the committee to work on. But I'm sure that when Parliament resumes within the month, the bill may be presented and then referred to the committee.
And outside of what is before the committee, has there been any conversations with the minister as to an understanding of what this is, even before it makes its way to Parliament?
Yes,
in your personal capacity.
We engaged the minister in a couple of months ago, about 3 months, two months ago, in a workshop by the committee, and the minister briefed us on the need for the sports bill. Basically, you see clearly that the budget of the ministry is woefully inadequate. Government subventions to the ministry is woefully inadequate to take up of all the things that the ministry needs to do. Infrastructure, we have a huge infrastructural deficit. Training, allowances, and a whole lot. And the disciplines are many, even football. A couple of matches of the Black Stars ago, you realize the minister, news item of the minister reducing the budget of the Black Stars, and you see training equipment. We went to the All African Games, we go to the World Championship for our athletes, they need all this training. But if you want to rely on government subventions alone, I'm sure it will be difficult. So if you bring in this sports bill, you have a dedicated funding for most of our disciplines, and I think it will help.
Let me bring in Dr. Domfe as well, just quickly on this one. Doc, you've heard nothing yet to make its way to Parliament, but this is the plan of the government: extra funding to support sporting activities. Some say robbing Peter to pay Paul, in the sense that e-levy is gone, and we're seeing conversations about a sporting fund with a levy attached to it.
Yeah, let me thank you very much, and also say very good morning to my colleagues, panelists, and also our listeners. You are very right. We live in a country where people have problem with taxation when they are in opposition, but as soon as they come to government, then they realize the importance of collecting taxes. We have seen this thing happening. I quite remember President Mahama's time we were doing CSRs, we were not raking in enough revenue, and so quickly we had to move from sales tax to VAT, which was very good. I'm telling you, my brother, if we had not moved from sales tax to VAT, I don't know where the country would have been today. And at that time, MPP was in opposition. They stood against it. Kumi Preko. Some people died because tax was described as something evil. Now, MPP comes to power. The very VAT they spoke against, they had to increase the tax rate. And it has been on and on and on. And DC a while ago stood against a levy. Levy, that is 1% on 100 and every 100 cedis transferred. Today, the very people who spoke against this tax, they have introduced 1 cedi on 1 liter. And today, 1 liter of petrol is about 30 cedis, 40 pesos. So they spoke against 1 cedi on 100, but they think 1 cedi on 13 or 14 cedis is okay. You see, it's time we all agreed that you cannot develop a country without taxes. Indeed, today, sitting here as an economist, I see that our tax to revenue ratio is very low. About 14% is one of the lowest. It means that we are not paying enough taxes. If you go to Sweden and other places, we come back to home here to say that they are doing very well because over the tax to GDP ratio, it's over 40%, to suggest that anybody who earns 100 whatever currency of those countries is giving away over 40 to their government. In our situation, if you earn 100 on average, only 14 goes to the government. And yet we expect government to do everything. My brother who just spoke was talking about infrastructure yesterday that we had with the sports ministry. And that is true. Not even that. We have forgotten that sports create more jobs. Now we all love to watch Chelsea. We want to watch Manchester. I think we can develop Kotoko. We can develop House of Folk to that level. And you have no idea the number of jobs that will be created along the line. You have no idea how it's going to help the inflow of other, resources. My brother, I think we have to stop the politics and tell Ghanaians that this is the situation. The last time I checked, manna rain only when the people of Israel were traveling from Egypt to the Promised Land. Since then, manna has never rained. And so you can't eat your cake and have it. Government needs money to develop this country. And if you are in opposition and you speak so much against taxation, and government is not able to create raise the revenue, then they have to go and borrow. When they borrow, it becomes a problem. The same people who didn't want the government to raise taxes would also speak against debt. And so sometimes I wonder whether is it because we understand what is happening or we don't understand, or we understand, but it's political expediency.
Right.
We have to be very careful as a countryman, brother.
Right, Doug. I'll take it. You'll be in support of this levy if it should come based on its importance and the fact that we need to raise revenue.
I have never run away from taxes, my brother. Except that as we do this, we have to check out corruption. That is another discussion. But I'm telling you, we are not paying enough. So many people are working in this country; they are not paying taxes. And sometimes you wonder whether we even want to develop. And these are the very people who complain when the roads are bad. They are the very people who complain when teachers go on strike because their salaries are not enough. And how do you pay teachers well if you are not paying taxes? This is a very good tax. It is for a particular purpose. It's dedicated to sports development.
Right.
And sports development is really very good. I've talked about job creation. It does a lot of things. And so I don't have a problem against it, except that I don't like it when they would always initiate so many taxes when they are in government, and yet as soon as they go to opposition, they begin to preach a different message, and they will position themselves as if they don't like taxes. That is the problem that I have.
Doc, thank you very much for joining us this morning. That's Dr. George Domfe. I'll just wrap up the conversation quickly with the Honourable Member of Parliament for the Tain constituency as well. And so, Honourable, when Parliament resumes, the expectation is that this sports bill will come before you. Will it be passed before the House goes on recess again?
Hopefully. I don't know the nature of the bill. You know, bills will come to committees. Committee will work on it, refer it back to chamber for maybe second reading, third reading, and the rest. But I'm sure, given the length of time that we have before the budget reading around November, I'm sure we'll be able to work on it. But to touch briefly on what my friend from the think tank spoke about, I don't think any party or anybody has spoken against taxes. I'm sure if he really was in this country between 2017 and now, even when I became a member of Parliament, the plethora of taxes that we passed, none of them came under the radar. We passed so many taxes. The one that came under the radar was the e-levy. And he was making reference to the e-levy as if e-levy was the only tax that was passed. E-levy had a national rejection. And then he never said, don't pass taxes.
Right.
Taxes that are relevant, that are important, were all passed. The Sustainability Act, a lot of taxes were passed for the last previous government.
Right then.
So, granted, we need to pay taxes, but we should be clear in our mind. As if somebody has said, don't pay taxes. No, the taxes will come. We need to pay taxes. We understand. So, e-levy was like an exception to the rule, and it had a national rejection. And countries around the world have demonstrated that if you want to pass electronic transfer taxes, it becomes problematic because of you are passing something out of no value.
Right then.
So I agree we need to pay taxes, and I agree that the sports act, the sports fund is critical, that we need to make the public contribute to make our sports better.
Right. Thank you very much as well for speaking to us. That's the Honourable Suleiman Adaman speaking to us as a Member of Parliament for Tain and also a member of the Sports Committee. Lawyer, I'll just pick your thoughts on this one as well, and then we wrap up on this morning's edition of the show.
Mawuena, I think the sports levy is an important item on the menu. Yes, we need to develop the other sporting activities. We need to, because largely the concentration has been on the Black Stars. Even the Black Queens.
I mean, that's a conversation we've all been having.
This morning we had that conversation.
Yes, it's a problem. Because the Black Stars appears to be taking more of the budget than even the Black Queens. Well, when last year Black Queens make any inroad in even AFCON, the women game.
Yeah.
It was just the recent one that they did well. And we need to be pumping money into that. But, Mawuena, imposing taxes is the easiest way of taking money from the pocket of Ghanaians. It's the easiest way. I think our government must be creative. They must be creative and innovative. And usually when people, push for the argument that we pay the least tax in the whole world, sometimes it's not
to GDP.
Yeah, sometimes it does. It superficially it makes sense, but when you look at it, how much is average Ghanaian receiving? How much is average Ghanaian receiving that you want to be taxing him or her from every angle? We should look at all those things. You don't just say that. You just don't do. You must not do comparative analysis. And by reason of that, you say that we should pay.
Lose the fact that the salaries are not good as well.
People are not being paid properly, so we must look at all those factors.
Right. Council, as always, thank you very much. You had your bite on this subject, but I don't know if
sorry, 1 minute. I don't share the thoughts that we don't pay taxes, and many people who are working will not pay taxes. Look, if you buy a bottle of water,
there's a tax component.
Taxes on it, right? You pay Get Fund, you pay NHIS, you pay. If you buy from a restaurant, you pay tourism levy, you pay for just a bottle of water. So I don't buy the idea that we are working and we're not paying taxes. It is those of us who are within the formal sector that feel the brand a lot more. That's why I agree with council that look, expand the tax net, be creative, find other ways of taxing everybody decently, so that we can also breathe.
Right then, that will be it from us this morning here on the 3FM Sunrise. Ready and waiting to bring us a news update. Yes, glorious happy birthday to lay Pastor Chris Ashon. We wish you a fantastic new year ahead filled with the Lord's blessing. Can we get a picture up, please? If we can quickly. Lay Pastor Chris Ashon. A glorious happy birthday to you. We wish you very
hardworking, very dedicated, intelligent. Happy birthday, Uncle Chris.
Happy birthday from all of us here.
And happy birthday to Helen as well.
She's laughing.
She coughed.
Yeah, she's in pink today. You are coming for the birthday present. Once they've wished you a happy birthday.
I have allowed cash out. Do as you please.
Celebration. All right. Thank you very much for being a part of the conversation and being a part of the show today. Grace Hamwa Jiman is next on your radio.
Osofo Ediane.
Yeah, man.